The project we are about to do requires handling electricity and disassembly of electronic equipments. If done wrong, it may prove fatal. Be responsible, and if you don't know about handling electrical or electronic equipments, please watch some videos on YouTube about the same before attempting this project. Hello everyone, you're watching ATYQ, and in this video we'll learn how to make a car battery charger or lead acid battery charger. So before moving on to the topic, note that we are going to deal with electricity, so be careful and responsible. Now, buying a battery charger from market is easy but expensive, as you can make it under 800 Indian rupees. Try to get an old PC power supply rather than buying a new one, which will reduce your budget. So we require a circuit called DC to DC boost converter, which I'll be showing you later in this video. Now, what material you require to make this charger? You require a fan, 120 CPU fan, a drill gun with drill bits, a multimeter, digital multimeter probably, a button or a switch, a toggle switch, a 50 ohm 10 watt resistor. I'll explain why we are using that later in this video, and some banana plugs, 10 ampere flat fuse, IRF 540N MOSFET with heatsink, a Schottky diode, terminal connectors, some alligator clips, a LED indicator, a project box, a screwdriver set, some 15 AWG wires of different color, some zip ties, some heat shrink tubes of different sizes, and this DC to DC circuit later in this video. A two-way switch, a automobile fuse holder, a H4 headlamp holder, and a 5 ohm resistor. Some 22 AWG wires for battery connections, and that's it. Now you have to use a kind of used power supply so that you can reduce the total cost of this project. So this is the power supply, and most probably in yours the wire colors along with the volt and current will be mentioned respective to its power rails. As it is not mentioned in my case, I will have to manually get those readings using multimeter. Now I have used a jumper wire bridged between the green wire and the ground or black wire. This will switch on the SMPS as soon as it gets power from the wall socket. Now, using the multimeter and poking its negative terminal into ground of SMPS, which has black color wire, and taking the positive wire of multimeter, setting it to 20 volts using the knob, and get the voltage readings individually from each of the colored wires coming out of the SMPS. You may take some readings from the Molex connector and other from that big connector. I have noted it down on a piece of paper. From these colors we'll use only some. The grey and purple will be used for LED to show the power status of SMPS, while the white and blue will not be used as they have very low amp ratings. As you can see, there are two wires. This is known as 3.3 volt sense wire. This is very important for the SMPS to stay on, so keep it together with the other 3.3 volt wire. This is a 50 ohm 10 watt resistor for power supply to work smoothly. You have to search which amongst the rail has the highest ampere ratings. In my case it is 5 volt So I will solder the resistor to the one red and one ground wire. This will keep the SMPS under constant load and the voltage will remain the same in the overall period. Now let's begin to open the SMPS carefully by unscrewing these screws and removing the lid. Carefully take out the cover without damaging those wires. As you can see, these electrolytic capacitors are huge and be careful while discharging them. They may have a fatal dose of charge. Now look for the overall PCB conditions, remove any dust and then check the condition of these capacitors too, if they are bulged or rusted. If they are, then replace them. Also see the condition of diodes, whether they are in good condition, and at last look for any irrelevant trace or liquid spill on the board. If there is none, then it's good. And also don't use these sides for connectors. I'll explain them later in the video. Now I will cut and remove these zip ties to ungroup these wires. As you can see, the positive 3.3 volt line and the sense wire are grouped together. Make sure you do the same. At this stage, we must cut these wire terminals. As you can see, I have cut and grouped them based on power rails. Now seeing the readings which I noted earlier, I will sort out the wire for accessory connections. We must use the green and black wire to connect the switch which will start the SMPS, and the grey black along with the purple wire for SMPS status LED. Take a red and black wire for the resistor to be soldered on. I have now sorted the wires based on its color. Also, these accessory lines have been separated for the parts to be soldered on. Next, I will mark the position on the lid for those terminal connectors. I will choose the center as it will not touch any circuit or metal part inside. Be careful as those MOSFET heatsinks inside will have ground connections in them. So if it is touched by those terminal connectors, they may get shorted. I will drill holes for these terminal connectors accordingly. Now that I have drilled the hole for terminals and LED, let's move on to fixing them. I will attach these terminals in a moment. I have fixed this switch and slotted it in the hole. And I also connected the load resistor, zip tied it to the body. The metal body will act like heatsink to remove the heat from the resistor. As you can see, I fixed these terminal connectors, connected their respective power rails and soldered the LED and housed them inside LED holder. So I didn't add one extra red connector. I taped white to the 3.3 volt line. Now be very careful while closing the lid. Those wires may disconnect themselves from the main board. Do your work slowly and carefully. With some adjustments and carefully placing those wires, the cover can be screwed back to its original place. Slowly tighten these screws as they are very easy to overthread. Also look for any wires coming out of the case. Okay, time to test. The power LED glows and the SMPS working LED also glows. Success. As you can see, both these LEDs are glowing. and the fan is also spinning. Testing the output with a multimeter set to DC voltage and probing it inside each terminal, we can see 5 volts, 12 volts and 3.3 volts. I said in the beginning that I will show a circuit. This is the one that I was talking about. I purchased it from Robo India and it costed me Rs 249 including DTDC shipping. As you can see the name of the circuit along with the total cost in this bill. Let's take out the circuit from the box, removing the bubble wrap. Cutting open the anti-static bag, we can see the circuit board and PCB spacers, which I am not going to use. It has some components under the board, so we have to place it at some elevation to avoid short circuiting. These are the terminals and heatsink for the MOSFET. We will fix the circuit at this position inside the project box. For that, we must drill holes for the wires here. The circuit works better with the active cooling. The fan must be placed in such a way that it throws the air upwards. Now let's mark the position for these terminal connectors and drill holes for them. Fast forwarding, I have attached the fan and other components on the project box. We have to connect a MOSFET and a Schottky diode. The Schottky diode is for the fan and the MOSFET is for the boost converter. This circuit board does not have a reverse polarity protection and will certainly blow if connected in wrong manner. So we are using MOSFET. We will also use a 10 amp fuse and max rated ampere is 10, thereby protecting this board if it draws more than 10 amps. I don't like to waste your time by showing those wire connections, so I have wired the board and connected the fan to the source terminal. I had to remove the terminal connectors as it was obstructing when I was placing this board to the base of the box. I will also attach a fuse here. Closing it up and finishing, I have attached H4 headlamp holder in series with a two-way switch to regulate the input current. I have connected this to the power supply and as you can see, the fan is running. I have made the slots for the air to pass in and cool the circuit. The switch will either directly power the board or power the board in series with the bulb to limit the current. Checking the output voltage, we can see 14 volts. I have set it to that, but you can change it anywhere from 12 volts to 32 volts. But remember that you cannot change or regulate the output current flow with this circuit. For that, you have to use 5 ohm resistor in parallel at output. This real world test will show you the result. I have connected a car battery to this circuit for charging and as you can see the light bulb glows which is limiting the input current, and the fan is spinning. If the battery was not connected, then the headlamp bulb would not glow as it is in the series with the circuit, which means the circuit is charging. I hope this video was of some help to you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.